Hi everyone, back again with another video, and that's why I said video, because this one's actually a review, not a reaction video. There's actually been a few really good movies I've seen as of recent, and to be able to smash them all out into reaction videos, it's just going to be a bit too much. And that being said, I feel like I want to kind of get a bit more content out at the moment, because I've noticed that my last video that I'm still working on, it's almost done, but it's taken me a long time. So I think I want to release my content a bit differently now, maybe break down my reaction videos into parts like what I did a while ago, and then also put out reviews as well, just to kind of get some more content flowing and also keep me flowing, because kind of keeping that, just doing the one video, it kind of does become a little bit of a drag at a certain point. So perhaps breaking it down into parts will make things flow a bit better and get the content flowing a bit more. Anyway, let's get into this video. So this is this movie called Heretic. It stars, oh god, I just forgot his name. I know the face, but I forget the name sometimes. Hugh Grant. Yeah, Hugh Grant. Great actor. You know, I really like him in movies. Especially love him in like one particular role I loved him in was Paddington 2. He was hilarious. But he's great in all of his roles, like, honestly. And he was also really good in The Gentleman. I thought he was great in that too. So yeah, he's really good in his performances. I think he has a lot of range, but he does have a particular groove he fits in with certain roles, and I think he just plays it so good. But this role was a little bit different, but still he had that kind of thing about him, that like kind of slightly weirdly, even though this is a horror, he's got like a weirdly humorous way of delivering his dialogue in ways that I really like. But anyway, let's get into this. So I've got my list here of things that I like. So first and foremost, I think this movie was really well shot in a lot of ways, and I kind of noticed this from the trailer. I saw one trailer of it, but aside from that, there's just something about how they use the camera in certain ways that I thought was quite effective. So the first thing I liked was just the general cinematography. There's quite a few like memorable shots throughout the film, even though a lot of it is filmed in one location, which I actually do like quite a bit, or gives the sense that it's filmed in one location. I did like that, but the way they shot it in certain ways, and even with the lighting in parts as well, was quite effective and just added to, you know, the atmosphere, the tension, and just like the emotion of what was happening, and just some like really nice shots in part two, especially right at the beginning with some of the shots before they got there. It was quite nice, some of the cinematography, quite like well composed shots in ways. The opening shot was pretty cool, like this kind of slow, I think it was like a dolly back from like these mountains, and then went down to the characters. Just some like really, and then like showing the bench with the this like condom advertisement. It was quite hilarious. And then they're just talking about that. So it was quite funny, just like all these and particularly due to who the characters are as well. It's quite funny. So yeah, I did quite like the little moments of humor throughout the film, which lightened things up a little bit, considering it's quite a heavy subject, this film. But anyway, I'm going way off on a tangent. So yeah, overall, really solid cinematography. Number two is camera movements. So I kind of have already elaborated on this, but I particularly like the camera movements when they're inside the one location as well. They really utilize the space. I really like that. They didn't just do simple shot, reverse shot. At times they did do these quite interesting like camera movements to kind of add to the tension, to add to, you know, what was happening. So I really did quite like how this movie was shot. I kind of already have said this as well, along with cinematography, but number three is the lighting. Yeah, so in parts, the lighting was quite effective with just not showing certain things, and just like very, you know, drawing your attention to certain things. Like there was a particular shot with Hugh Grant's face, like in a dark, like it was like in a hallway, and you just saw his face lit up. Very just creepy and unsettling. And kind of feeling like there's like no way out, which is perfect for this type of what this movie is about, in a sense, and what happens in the plot. So very effective like choices of lighting as well, I thought. So yeah, just overall really solid, like pretty damn solid visuals. In some ways was a little bit surprised. I wasn't expecting that to be really amazing, but there was still some really solid things here and there that I quite appreciated about it. Number four is locations used. So, or really just the one use of location for the most part. As I said, there was a few parts where it was outside of this one location, but I did like that a lot of it was in that one area. Especially being a horror, it is an effective way to just have this one location and having these characters kind of trapped in this one area. Makes it tense straight away. But like, it was very well utilized. And moving on to something else, it's something else I'll mention later, but I did actually like that it was just done in one location. It even gave me a slight Quentin Tarantino vibe even, which I'll come to that in a second, but I did like that it was just in one location. Next thing, number 5, is the acting. I've kind of already said this, but Hugh Grant was great, of course. He really played the role perfectly, honestly. He was great, honestly. Like, really, really solid performance. Everyone else was really good too, like the other 2 leads are Sophie Thatcher and Chloe East. They were both really good. I don't remember seeing them in anything before, I don't think. But they were really good. I still haven't seen Maxine, which apparently one of them was in that. And then Chloe East. Okay, I did see Chloe East in The Fabelmans. I don't remember that though. There you go. But anyway, I guess she was good in that. That was a good film. But anyway. So yeah, really solid performances all around. There was no problem in regards to performances in this at all. And particularly really solid performance by Hugh Grant, that's for sure. He was definitely the standout for sure. Next thing, so locations used, acting. Next thing, number 6, is line delivery. This is particularly for Hugh Grant. He was great in that sense, like just the way he delivered his dialogue, and that's something I'll mention in a second as well. But the way he just delivered his lines, and even the girls were pretty damn good in this way as well with the dramatic stuff. But yeah, just really solid line delivery, I thought, throughout the movie as well, just the way they worded stuff. Leading me to number 7, the dialogue. Now this is where it gave me some slight Quentin Tarantino vibe. It actually is quite dialogue heavy, and I actually really liked that. It wasn't just this big, gory, there definitely was some intense stuff later on in the film, but it is quite dialogue focused, and I found it to be very engaging. Even quite philosophical in ways, which I found to be quite interesting. I have seen a few movies this year that were quite philosophical. Like, you could definitely draw some things from it, like some interesting, thought-provoking ideas, especially in the horror sphere, and that's why I want to do some videos on these. But this one even had that, and I quite liked it. Like, there was some stuff that was very clear and just, okay, this is that. But there was some, too, that I feel like you could interpret it in different ways, or like maybe you wouldn't notice it in first viewing, but in second viewing you would more catch that. But I did quite like, the dialogue in this film. It definitely was something I was a bit surprised about. I was expecting just, kind of almost like a Saw type of thing, but it was not that at all. It was actually really, rather well done in regards to dialogue. It wasn't like this very poetic dialogue like a Quentin Tarantino film, but it reminded me of a Quentin Tarantino film, as in the dialogue was just engaging enough for scenes. You didn't need all this fancy stuff. It was just the dialogue that made it so good. So that's why I kind of, in the end, wanted to give a point for dialogue. Is there was moments in the movie where I was just smiling at just what was being said, challenging certain, like Hugh Grant's character, challenging certain belief systems and showing how they all tie into each other in these interesting ways. I found that to be really cool. So yeah, I did quite like the dialogue a lot. Next thing, number 8, is the story. So the overall story, kind of how it happens, the way it's told, the way, with the camera work, and as I said, and then just the way, just in regards to like what the kind of the characters go through. Interesting story. I quite liked what it was like saying with certain things. So yeah, really solid story overall. Number 9 was effective jump scares. This is, I think, another movie this year as well did this, and that's another one I'll definitely want to talk about at some point in a video, I would say. But I did like, just like, they caught me off guard. And it wasn't like, I don't remember like any jump scare music. Maybe there was, but I just can't remember a moment where it was like, dun, with the music that they usually do. It was like the sounds, they amplified the certain sounds to make it like, ooh, And I thought that was really effective in certain parts because it caught me off guard. The way they did it, I was not expecting it in that moment for that to happen. And with the slightly elevated sound, it got me, right? And yeah, there's not a lot of horror movies nowadays that get me with jump scares. I see it coming a mile away, but this movie, no, there was a few times where it actually worked. No, I actually do remember one time there was a jump scare, like with the music and everything now. Yeah, I do remember a particular moment. There's a person behind this other person. Yeah. If you've seen the movie, you probably know what I'm talking about. And you think that person's not around anymore, but there they are. That one kind of got me. But yeah, so anyway, moving on to the next thing. Number 10, the tension. I really like the tension in this, and also thanks to some of the filmmaking techniques, like the camera movements especially. I thought the tension was really solid. And just the way he was talking, the way things ramped up, it was really good in regards to tension. I thought it was really solid tension throughout the film. Yeah, and I felt myself kind of like gripping a bit. Kind of like slightly gripping the seat. I was like, wow, okay, this is some good, solid tension. Number 11, the build-up. This movie doesn't rush into things, like into especially the more brutal stuff. It takes its time. It's not this one where, you know, oh, where's the gore? If you're someone like that just wants crazy shit, like something like Terrifier, this is not that. And I actually like it for that. I like the build-up. I like the dialogue. I like the story and the way it develops. I think it's really good. And the tension that's created from that, I think it's fantastic. So yeah, really solid in that sense. In regards to like the build-up as well. Number 12, thought-provoking. I might actually make a second video just talking about, like, I want to really put it down into more dot points and words to really kind of bring my point across. But I thought this movie was really thought-provoking in regards to just the ideas presented by this character. But there's a certain bias in the end, I felt like, that he didn't see. Maybe he did see it, but maybe he would say, oh, well, that's the point. But I feel like in a way, perhaps he didn't see it. Like the irony of what he's saying and then what he actually does in the end, the conclusions he kind of ends up with. It's like, aren't you just kind of doing the same thing? It was kind of interesting. So I don't want to give away anything else, you know, in case you haven't seen it, because this is a spoiler-free video. But I might do a separate video just to really kind of dive a bit more deeper into this. I might even watch it again before I do that video, because it was about a week ago since I saw it. Because I've been working on my other video, and I tried to, you know, I've been working and such, and I haven't really had the time to sit down and record a video. But yeah, so I did find it quite like thought-provoking in the ideas, and I'll definitely make a separate video for that, because I definitely have to kind of talk spoilers to bring more across. But I'll just say, yeah, it definitely got me thinking, which was something I kind of wasn't expecting going into this. I was expecting kind of just like a, you know, this kind of like Saw type of movie, because the way it's advertised, it kind of feels like that. I kind of wonder if some people were disappointed by this movie in that sense, if they thought it was just going to be this, you know, this kind of brutal, gory type of film. I felt like in that first trailer, I was going, I don't know, like, since Hugh Grant was in it, it drawed me in, and some of the lines he said, I was like, okay, this sounds kind of interesting. But it did give me that vibe of just this very intense kind of movie where people are just trapped in a location. I feel like it's so much more than that. I feel like there's more to it, especially with the themes presented and the ideas and the way they bring it across. Which leads me to number 13, the themes. So yeah, I really like just... This is what I mean. It was actually quite surprising. Like, this movie did... When I left the movie, I was like, wow, this was a lot better than kind of what I thought it would be. Like, I thought it would be a pretty damn good movie with Hugh Grant and just kind of... And it was an A24 film. I kind of had a bit of a bias towards them. I feel like most of the time, their movies are pretty good. So I was expecting it to be pretty solid. And it was. It was... I would even say it was more than that. It was a well-told and interesting story that got me thinking. Which... Perfect. Which leads me to, last but not least, number 14, the ending. I actually really like the ending. The very end bit, like literally the last few seconds, there was something, like, in the climax that did annoy me. I was like, wait, you know, how did that person do that? If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it just kind of really made me go, okay, you know, it just kind of, yeah, I don't know. It kind of got to me. I was like, okay, I don't know what to think about that. The very ending was a bit, like the way kind of things resolved in a certain way. I was kind of like, I don't know about that. But aside from that, like the very, very ending, as I said, that it is I kind of really liked it. I was like, ooh, okay, I kind of like that. I think it was very much like the very last 2 shots or something. It kind of left me on a bit of a thought-provoking note. I was like, that's really cool that they kind of ended it in that way. Because it just tied it up really nicely, I felt, right at the end. So, yeah, that is my thoughts on Heretic. So, yeah, 14 things I liked about it. So this was not bad at all. Like, much better than I kind of expected it to be. And I quite enjoyed it a lot. Like, I also, like, would say I just saw a picture of the film just then. I like the way the candles were used as well, and the lighting with that. I feel like that worked quite effectively. As I said, it's very much just that cliche horror thing, but I think it did definitely add to the tension, add to the atmosphere, all that jazz. Okay, so let's see where it ranks in 2024 so far. So it is in my top 10. So far, it's my number 9 of the year in my top 10. There's actually like 2, 3, 4. Yeah, like 4 movies are horror this year that are in my top 10. That's pretty awesome. That 4 movies that are horror films made that list. So that's particularly some of those. I really very much want to do some videos on those. And as I said, I even want to do like I'll do a review, but I might even do a separate video on perhaps maybe not all of these, but especially 2 of them, aside from this one. So 3 in total at the moment. Going into kind of like the philosophy of the films, like just kind of going into the deeper themes and ideas and just how I'm thinking of it. Like, I don't know if it's actually what the director wanted to say, but it's just kind of like how the things I've experienced, things I've learned, and, certain insights I've had to kind of bring that and kind of say what I think of these films, So I'm curious to perhaps do that for some of these movies. I think that'll be interesting. So I might do one and see how it goes. See how it goes in regards to what I think of the video myself, and see how it goes in regards to views and such. But yeah, I'd be curious to see how those videos would go, and then maybe even do them more in the future too. Just talking about the certain philosophy of certain films from my point of view. Anyway, that is it for this video. So yeah, I very much enjoyed this movie. I'm curious to see if this actually will stay in my top 10 of this year. This year's been pretty good for films. It's not been like crazy good. But that being said, I have kind of not seen as many movies this year. So maybe, if I saw more, I will, I wouldn't be saying that. But yeah, I'm curious to see like how my top 10. I think I'll do a separate video actually doing my top 10 of the year as well. I think that's definitely something I will do. But anyway, that's it for this video. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, of course, and if you've made it all the way up to this point, you might as well hit the like button and subscribing. I'd very much appreciate that. And yep, that's it for this video. Hope to catch you folks in the next one. Bye-bye.